Welcome to Easy English Story, where real-life stories come alive in simple English. From legends to icons, every story here is full of inspiration, motivation, and life lessons. Perfect for learning English the easy way. Let's dive into today's journey. Marie Curie, the radiant pioneer. Introduction. In a world dominated by men, where women's roles were often confined to homes, Marie Curie rose like a shining star, born in poverty, surrounded by political upheaval, and barred from higher education due to her gender. She defied all odds. Her relentless pursuit of knowledge and passion for science led to the discovery of two new elements, polonium and radium, and laid the foundation for modern physics and chemistry. She became the first woman to win a Nobel Prize, and the only person ever to win Nobel Prizes in two different sciences. This is the story of Marie Curie, a woman of brilliance, grit, and glowing legacy. Chapter 1. The Early Years in Poland. Marie Curie was born as Maria Salomea Skłodowska on November 7, 1867, in Warsaw, Poland, which was then under Russian rule. Her parents were teachers, her father a physics and mathematics instructor, and her mother a headmistress. From a young age, Maria showed an exceptional memory and an insatiable thirst for knowledge. Tragedy struck early. When she was just 10, her eldest sister Zofia died of typhus. 2 years later, her mother succumbed to tuberculosis. These losses deeply affected Maria, but also gave her a stoic resilience that would define her life. Despite her brilliance, Poland did not allow women to attend university. So Maria joined the Flying University, an underground institution that educated young Polish minds under the radar of Russian authorities. Chapter 2. The Secret Pact and Paris Dreams. Maria and her elder sister Branya made a pact. Maria would work as a governess and support Branya's medical education in Paris. Once Branya was established, she would do the same for Maria. For years, Maria toiled away in the countryside as a tutor, often hiding her scientific books under her bed. She taught during the day and studied late into the night. Her life was one of sacrifice, but she never gave up on her dream. Finally, in 1891, at the age of 24, she boarded a train for Paris. There, she enrolled at the Sorbonne University under the name Marie. She lived in a tiny attic room, often going without food to afford textbooks. The bitter Parisian winters made her sick, but she persevered. Chapter 3. A Scientific Soulmate, Pierre Curie. In 1894, Marie met Pierre Curie, a fellow scientist known for his work on crystals and magnetism. They shared a love for science, simplicity, and quiet dedication. A year later, they married. Their life was humble, but filled with scientific excitement. They set up a modest laboratory and began working together, combining their talents and intellect. Pierre admired Marie's brilliance and often called her his scientific muse. Chapter 4. The Discovery of Polonium and Radium. In 1896, physicist Henry Becquerel discovered that uranium emitted mysterious rays. Intrigued, Marie began investigating this new phenomenon. using a device called the electrometer, invented by Pierre and his brother. She found that these rays came from within the atoms themselves. This led to a revolutionary idea. Atoms were not indivisible. They had internal energy. Marie coined the term radioactivity. As she continued her research, she made a groundbreaking discovery in 1898, a new radioactive element, which she named polonium, after her beloved Poland. Later that year, she discovered another element, radium, far more radioactive than uranium, working under extremely dangerous conditions, often without any protective gear. Marie and Pierre processed tons of pitchblende ore, isolating minuscule amounts of these elements. Their lab was dark, cold, and filled with radioactive dust, but their dedication never wavered. Chapter 5: Nobel Prize Glory and Heartbreak. In 1903, Marie, Pierre, and Becquerel were awarded the Nobel Prize in Physics. Initially, the Nobel Committee only wanted to honor the men, but Pierre insisted that Marie's name be included. She became the first woman to win a Nobel Prize. Fame brought public attention, and funds poured in for their research. But tragedy was around the corner. In 1906, Pierre was run over by a horse-drawn carriage and died instantly. Marie was devastated. She fell into deep mourning, but returned to the lab within days. The Sorbonne offered her Pierre's position, and she became the first female professor at the prestigious university. Chapter 6: The Second Nobel Prize in Recognition. Marie continued her work on radioactivity, and in 1911 won her second Nobel Prize, this time in chemistry, for her discovery of radium and polonium and her isolation of pure radium. She became the first person ever to win 2 Nobel Prizes, and remains the only person to win in 2 different sciences. Despite this, she was still met with suspicion, sexism, and xenophobia, especially because of her Polish roots and her private life. Chapter 7: War Efforts and the Little Curies. During World War I, Marie realized the need for mobile X-ray machines to help wounded soldiers. With her daughter Irene, she developed Little Curies, portable radiology units used on battlefields. She trained women, including nurses, to operate these units, saving thousands of lives. She sold her own Nobel medals to raise funds for the war effort. For her, science was not just about discovery, it was about service to humanity. Chapter 8: Legacy and Final Years. In her later years, Marie Curie traveled the world, delivering lectures, raising funds, and establishing research institutes. In 1921, she visited the United States, where President Warren Harding presented her with a gram of radium, purchased by American women. Despite her growing fame, Marie remained modest. She often said, "I am among those who think that science has great beauty." But years of exposure to radiation took a toll. Her health deteriorated, and in 1934, she died of aplastic anemia, likely caused by radiation exposure. At the time, the harmful effects of radiation were not well understood. The glowing spirit, Marie Curie, changed the face of science. She discovered new elements, pioneered radioactivity, broke gender barriers, and inspired generations. Her work led to advances in cancer treatment, nuclear energy, and modern physics. She was a mother, a scientist, a widow, a teacher, and above all, a symbol of relentless determination. In 1995, she became the first woman to be buried in the Pantheon in Paris for her own achievements. Her legacy lives on not just in textbooks and laboratories, but in every woman who dares to dream, every scientist who asks why, and every patient whose life is saved by a radiation therapy machine.